Welcome back to Phoenix of Calamity. I'm just coming on today to say what I've been going through, to really dive into my experience of the last 2 weeks and what I've been experiencing in the now moment, the present. So, to begin, I was houseless for 2 weeks, and that was really a difficult experience because the person I was renting from at the time, I had just moved, had informed me of what was happening, what's going on with the spot itself. So I tried going to a hostel at my end of my lease, and a lot of stuff had changed, and I hadn't known. So I had no place to go for a good minute because it was night, everybody was asleep. That I knew the connections I knew were not available to any degree. So except for one, and I'll get to that. So I was walking around New Orleans, like in the neighborhood that I was in, and I was felt so down, and my mind was trying to freak out. And I say that for a reason because my body wasn't. I was really in tune to the moment with my body. Oddly enough, it's like my body was calm, even though it felt anxiety, even though it had felt this energy of pressure, of this abundance in the moment. It's like it really just processed it very well. My mind was like, I need to find a place to go. I need to figure this out. And a lot of old memories got dredged up from when I was a kid. And my mother was very narcissistic and abusive. So she would say certain things like, you're going to be homeless when you're older. You're going to be this when you're older. College wouldn't want you, things like that. It really did just hit me in the moment, like this experience is not negative at all. Even though it's a stressful situation, I felt so much freedom to express the present moment. When I looked at that memory, it was like walking through my own past, my own energy, what I felt at the time. And it brought me joy because I didn't believe her. I didn't believe that that was my reality. I saw everything in a form of beauty. And as a kid, I was always adventurous in the first place. I wanted to walk around the world. I wanted to see Mount Everest, And in this moment, I just started thinking of myself as a voyager in a way, how I was when I was a kid. I would just adventure places. I was I was set on my morals and my principles for myself, and that brought me even more stability because this authenticity of when I was a kid just resonated with me on such a deep level. And I'll admit I cried because experiencing that much love for yourself, that much love of situation, even though I felt like that was my child self, even though I felt like parts of myself were still missing, it still brought me so much joy to feel that in myself, to feel like, okay, this is still here though. I might not be that one, but I'm still experiencing. I'm still here. I'm not just one thing. And so at the end of the second day, I finally found a place. It was nighttime. I was rolling the suitcase and all my things over my shoulder. Oh my god, it was so stressful, but it really did help make me more aware of myself. And yeah, I finally got to a friend's place, and then I had dropped to another friend's couch. And that's being so real, honestly. I hopped to another friend's couch and chilled there for a minute. A tornado had actually came through, and streets were flooded for a minute. So a lot of patience. What I developed as well because I was also freaking out in that moment. So on a mental mind, on a mental, okay, on a mental mind. Um, yeah, yeah. And so I found a purpose for magic. And I say that for a reason. I normally have a viewpoint of telekinesis, working with energy. Magic is, well, for me, magic is just a persistent. manifestation. Whatever I think, I see the signs, and the connections are there. So I move from that place of just patience and authenticity. But I finally sat down with myself and said, okay, I have this knowledge, I have this wisdom, I have this ability. Let's actually use it. And I created a sigil. It was very weird because I don't use the word miracle very rarely often. And I sat down and I wrote this sigil with the word miracle in it. So as I just meditated on it for as long as I could before I had to go to work, excuse me, I okay. um I felt this shift like a very angelic presence in a way, the best way I could say it. And when I came back at the end of my shift, I had gotten a text from my old landlord saying, "Hey, I have a place available and I can write up the lease and here's everything." And it worked out. And now I'm in my own apartment. There's a few situations, it's a little bit of a situation happening with that itself, but it's all working out, honestly. It's nothing big, nothing major. And my rent's already covered this month. So I already paid last month and this month is covered. So I'm happy. I'm appreciative of where I am because I had the patience to feel the process and not try to attach to it even when I wanted to, not try to uh, uh, downgrade myself to be likable. you know, I felt at times when I was still practicing just smiling at people on the street, even though I was carrying my stuff on my bag. It felt degrading at times, and I had to come back to myself so much. Like, so much had to be broken down in order to sit with that, in order to sit with just being instead of attacking yourself while you're trying to be. You know what I'm saying? um, so after all of that, I'm now hopping back into astral projection and getting my business started with tarot readings and sigil magic. The best thing that I can say is that where you are is where you're supposed to be, and it's not that you're supposed to be anywhere else. Where you are, you're there for a reason. You're not supposed to. If you're putting this limiter on yourself of a cap that's saying I'm supposed to be here, but you're here, that's setting that cap limit right there where you're saying you are because you're not able to see that next level. This is also a societal construct if you really think about it. I'm supposed to be here, I'm supposed to be with these millionaires, and yet we still have poverty and things like that. There's this isn't to attack them, but to really show that aspect of them as well. They're supposed to have housing. They're supposed to have air conditioning, all these habitable things, and yet they don't. This is for a reason. What you're going through is for a reason. You don't have to be anywhere else. Love yourself as you're there. Even if it's in the weirdest of ways, sitting down next to a tree, not caring about anything. Even if it's just sitting there, you could be on your phone if you're getting into the practice. Being with yourself is so important and is very mindful of and respectful of the being that you are. Giving that respect, that admiration back to not just the identity, not just the aspect of self that is there. Giving back to that soul. You are a soul projecting its consciousness into a physical experience. You're inhabiting a body, a basic. Appreciate that because you decided to have this adventure. You decided to be here for a reason. Do your research. Souls on human earth. Easiest thing to look up. That's where I started. Like, what is a soul? Why are we here? Looking up even the smallest details onto your answers will lead you towards where you need to be. Just be discerning of where you're at. Trust your intuition. Be discerning of where you're at. Trust your intuition. Okay, it's always important to trust that you are in that moment and that you are supported as you are supporting yourself. I believe a lot of people forget that once they enter a really hard experience. uh, and I'm still doing a lot of purging of negative trapped energy. So yeah. So this is the process. Still working it out, but updates.